Breaking into the rap game isn't just about talent, it's about surviving the silence, grinding through the doubts, and turning every closed door into a stage. However, what happens when a rapper has all the characteristics of being a great MC?
That's Usimamane. That's who the what? Let me hear everything. And I heard everything. I was like, shit, this person's dope.
But the problem comes when his career skyrockets to the top so fast that the whole thing starts to look a bit too suspicious.
Like a lot of people are saying, Uzi, you're an industry plant.
Ninjas became fans of Usimamane not because they genuinely F with him, but because they hate A-Reece, embarrassing fan base. And with his name becoming so anonymous to rap beefs.
Is that another misconstrued thing, a miscommunication?
Yeah, I mean, you see, that one is more the fan bases, you know, different fans trying to make it a thing. But was it a thing?
Well, some people even started to speculate that he may just be nothing more than an industry plant.
But he's packed. He's like got a big major or a label.
What label? What label is it?
What I'm seeing here is Gamma Africa.
Oh, Gamma.
Gamma.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Gamma.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's packed. Usimamane is packed. So when he drops, Spotify is gonna be there on the cover of the biggest hip hop playlist. He's gonna be plugged. He's gonna get the airplay. He's gonna get the interviews on Tibo Touch, etc.
Got you.
So that's why he's the now kid.
Now, if you didn't know, Gamma is a company known for allegedly producing industry plants. Some of you may love him and some of you may hate him. However, you have to admit the fact that skyrocketing to success comes with its own problems. So today we're looking at some of the problems that came with Usimamane's rapid rise to stardom. These are the consequences of blowing up too fast. Omuhle Umguni was born in the year 2003 on the vibrant street of Umlazi.
Yeah, I'm from Durban, a small township called Imlazi.
Imlazi.
Q, Section 3.
Which some may credit as the heart of Durban, where hustle, music, and struggles all meet in shaping the identity of each individual that comes from the streets that speak in rhythm. Well, Usimamane's journey began long before he picked up the mic and started to tell his story through rhymes.
It's crazy because a lot of people don't know this. Before I became a rapper, I started singing with Umam. You know, we would just like do songs.
Like Sunday school, ne?
Yeah.
Growing up in a family where music wasn't just a pastime, but a way of life. From a very young age, Usimamane has always been marinated in melodies from the likes of Young Thug, Future, Lil Wayne, Drake, and the man who was never a drug-dealing hustler, but made a career out of claiming to be one, Rick Ross. Well, it would seem like Usimamane's playlist has always been rotating global rap legends, well, at least some legends, and of course some of South Africa's very own legends in the making. Notably, Nasty C, the newcomer, Blxckie, and the rapper with the most toxic fan base in hip-hop, A-Reece. Little did the young Usimamane know at the time that his future involved beefing with some of his idols, rappers who didn't just shape his taste in music, but also helped in sculpturing the very foundation of his unique sound. I feel like the struggles around me and also growing up in a musical family played a huge role in what I am today. The significance behind going by his last real name as his rap name is that not only his peers at school recognize him as, however, he also hopes to build a legacy around his family's name. While speaking on how his hometown influenced his music, on an interview Usimamane stated, "I feel like people who are coming from Durban, they are just, I don't know, different hoods really. They kind of share, well, we have similar stories, and with 50 years into hip-hop's constant evolution, many of today's rappers don't even write down their lyrics at all. I mean, in record studios these days, there may be no actual writing happening at all. And that's probably due to the fact that many young hip-hop artists grow up idolizing stars such as Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Future, and Young Thug, all whom have boasted about never putting their lyrics to paper or even a phone screen."
Is it true you've written probably over 1 million songs?
That's not true because I don't write.
You don't write?
I just go in there and what I was feeling that day is how it goes.
But how do you remember the song when you perform it?
Your guys are so kind. They typed up my lyrics for me. I'm back there studying them right now.
Rappers these days are usually inspired by the stories that their favorite MCs punch in on the spot, as it is rhymes about their lives they really live, in the process dropping relatable bars that usually tell stories of hardship that tragically in many cases listeners relate to them a bit too much. Now, I'm not saying that Usimamane doesn't write his lyrics at all. However, I am saying that due to rappers telling stories that sometimes relate to listeners' lives, well, it can therefore sometimes lead to the clashing of bars, flows, and overall rap songs sometimes sounding the same.
So I feel like I got my hometown like that, and also the sound, you know?
Yeah.
Even though they like the sound is already there, but I'm just coming with my sound.
When the very listeners start to express themselves on microphones like their favorite MCs once did, the perception that modern rap sounds the same stems from a combination of factors that include trends in production, lyrical style, and the rise of auto-tune, which can make artists sound similar, as everyone these days seems to use it, and on some cases on the same sounding trap beat. A case which tragically some rap fans kind of felt like Usimamane might have just fell for, as not only did he sound like some of the rappers that already existed in the industry.
I want you to give us like clarity in the sense of people saying you sound like Nasty and Blxckie combined or whatever. What do you want people to know from you?
I sound like myself.
But his stories weren't so different from these.
Be into the same things, if I'm allowed to say that, you know, because he looks up to Thuggers and Waynes, you know, and I look up to Thugger, YSL, Gunners, and everyone, you know. So I feel like it's the same inspirations and everything, you know. Not that I am stealing whoever's flow, you know, I'm just doing my thing. But like, it's okay. I feel like it's a Durban thing after all, because we all sound like that, you know?
Now, it's a tradition at this point to see hip-hop fans often comparing up-and-coming rappers to already well-established rappers. Well, they did the same thing to Blxckie when he was coming up.
Blxckie when he was like me, when he was coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying he sounds like Nasty.
Yeah.
And now it's like he sounds like Blxckie, right?
I mean, fans even started the biggest rap beef in hip-hop history, link in the description. Well, if I were to explain it, I'd say that fans make comparisons because they help them categorize new music with music that already exists, and it also helps them understand how the music would fit within the existing landscape of hip-hop. And of course, in this case too, hip-hop fans did the same thing to Usimamane and started to compare him with some of the biggest acts that come from the neighboring hoods of his hometown, Durban.
What's your reaction to people saying you stole Blxckie's flow and Nasty C's flow? How does that make you feel?
So I feel like, shout out to OG Fox. He spoke about if they let me get in my bag, and then they'll get to see that I sound like myself.
Now, while comparisons can be seen as a compliment because they can imply that the newcomer is as talented and may have a similar level of skill set or potential as the well-established MC. However, comparisons can also lead to a negative judgment from the hip-hop community, or even sometimes hinder a rapper's ability to establish their own unique identity. Now, on the other hand, being compared can also generate more attention and discussion around an upcoming rapper's work, in the process potentially leading to a broader audience along the way, which is exactly what some hip-hop fans said happened in Usimamane's case. Well, when his biggest song, Check, dropped in the middle of 2024, which is now sitting at over 6.5 million streams on Spotify, a lot of fans quickly started drawing comparisons between his sound and that of Nasty C and Blxckie. Usimamane blew up using Nasty C's flow and style, same as Maklera with Pop Smoke and style. I was waiting for this one fact. I thought I was the only one seeing that. That's true. They couldn't get their hands on Nasty C, so they created clones, but they can never out-rap the GOAT. That's a fact. And with the three rappers having the same Durban roots, even sharing similar backgrounds and Zulu cultural influences in their music and styles, well, when looking close to all three rappers, one thing becomes apparent. They do all kinda sound the same, and it also seems like their level of talent just might be in the same caliber, while in terms of how each artist is able to blur the lines between rap, trap, R&B, and melodic flows, which really shows you that although each man is different in their own way, one thing is undeniable, and it's that they all speak the language of Durban. They are driven by the same hustle, heart, and the need to be at the top of the South African hip-hop scene. However, with hip-hop being a culture built on competition, each artist can stand as both student and rivalry in the battlefield. And while many may claim the throne, history remembers only one true king, and if that king was going to be anyone, well, the newcomer decided that out of the three of them, it was going to be him, as he kinda shaded Nasty C and Blxckie in a viral WhatsApp post that claimed that he was on top.
It was like a thing of, okay, in so many lists, go number one in these guys. So Durban lingo is like, look, but it's not a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on that Kendrick Dondon when he said I'm coming for Drake and whatever, and he got touched.
Well, of course he excluded the man with the most toxic fan base, A-Reece, whom he vowed to address him a year later. On the WhatsApp post, Usimamane claims, "Dan Gekat Nasty C and Blxckie many times. Damn, I'll catch A-Reece next year." Well, that's kind of disrespectful, like, you only just came here, bruh. You only just came here. And in response to the WhatsApp post, Blxckie would emphasize that Usimamane's WhatsApp post was what initiated their discord. Nevertheless, in the disappointment of many rap fans, Blxckie would rob them of an opportunity of a rap beef.
Different fans trying to make it a thing. It was a thing. I mean, by now it's like, dog, so whatever. I feel like that's how I treat like most of the stuff that happens, especially on social media. Like, if you're not gonna call someone from the team or call me personally, then there's obviously nothing going on. It's just on your phone. You know, I can put down my phone whenever and just get in studio and work. Like, it's never an issue, you know?
When he would explicitly state that he harbored no desire for a feud with the young upcoming rapper, even when fans were speculating that a feud behind the scenes might have just been going on between the two of them.
Okay, I feel like the main beef, the Drake and Kendrick one, like sort of sparked like a whole
everybody wanted to
in
be
the
with
hip hop
somebody.
community. Everyone was just like mad at everyone or whatever. So yeah, like that thing is with a guy from Durban too.
Okay.
And I think
same
like
hometown.
Yeah,
same
hometown.
City,
yeah, same city. And I guess like our fans like sort of like made something happen that wasn't supposed to happen.
You know what? They always say the fans start to beat.
LOL. Let me try explain this for the first and last time. Indiana said some weird shit about me on his WhatsApp. So weird that it ended up making its way to me as a screenshot. So I blocked him. GGM freestyle was just a freestyle. I've been saying ninja steal my flavor from the first time I started rapping. LOL, nothing new. I've never spoken about him, and this is the last time I ever will. Well, seems like while working his way up to being among the biggest names in hip-hop, Usimamane's come-up had already started with some of the most controversial moments in rap, far from the kid who used to just sing with his mother at home, as he had already challenged the dominance of some of the biggest names in the South African hip-hop scene. Now, with all eyes on him, due to what some fans may say was a rap beef, and with some crediting his whole come-up to the controversies surrounding his name. So, when it came time to release his first album, 20th, Usimamane did not play when it came to the features, as he had a heavyweight feature track list that featured the likes of KO, Sjavo, Youngster CPT, and a man whom he calls his little brother, Tony Daimane. Now, as one of the most anticipated hip-hop releases in South Africa, the album had a lot riding on it, especially with the critics and fans labeling him as a one-hit wonder. Well, his relentless work ethic became apparent when he started posting freestyles on YouTube, TikTok, and even Instagram Reels. It would seem like Usimamane was on a mission to make sure that fans felt his presence, even if they tried to ignore the fact that he was here to take over the rap game. Now, coming out of a string of successful singles that had some of the most impactful features in his career at the time, notably his single Uvalo, which featured Sjavo, the single became a top hit, reaching the #1 spot on the South African streaming charts, as the single exposed Usimamane to a wider audience, contributing contributing to his increased recognition and fame within the music industry. And the fact that the man was coming off his critically well-received EP that went by the name 19th, expectations for Usimamane's debut album became naturally high. However, when the stakes seemed like they couldn't be raised any higher, just days before his album release, the rapper with the most toxic fan base, A-Reece, also announced that he was going to release a mixtape, Kill the King, on September the 13th, which was the same day that Usimamane was dropping on.
So guys, as you all know, both Usimamane and A-Reece recently released major projects, one being an album and the other being a mixtape. Twitter has been buzzing ever since, but the big question in this video is, did A-Reece intentionally drop his mixtape on the same day as Usimamane just to spite him?
Well, this appeared to be an all too clear reminder that hip-hop remains a competitive and unforgiving genre, where every move can either win you the war or leave you straight out destroyed on the battlefield. With now almost a decade in the rap game, A-Reece has built one of the most loyal fan bases in South African hip-hop, with his supporters known as the Slimes constantly showing up for him, especially in times whereby he's just dropping surprise music or beefing with other rappers. Now, it's a good thing that A-Reece has some of the most diehard fans in hip-hop. I mean, they are even probably the reason why he's been able to live out his rap dream while still remaining an independent artist. However, I like to call the Slimes the most toxic fans in hip-hop, simply because they like to fight other rappers' fan bases, sometimes for no apparent reason.
It's automatic autopilot haters because they're super fans of Reece. So it's like, to them it's like, I picked the side. So I don't care what you do or what you say or how good you get. I'm on this side. So I can't show you nothing.
I mean, look at how they haunted Nasty C's entire rap career from the early days the man blew up, as they've always compared him with their baby boy who's always doing things.
Right now, a lot of people are saying that A-Reece is a better rapper than you.
However, sometimes you start to ask yourself, which things is this man doing? I feel like these fans have allowed A-Reece's entire personality be about, oh, he's independent, so he must be the best now in everything he does. Oh, he's independent. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Reece is one of the best lyrical rappers who ever came out of the South African hip-hop scene. However, music is a mirror to the soul, and what may resonate with one person may not necessarily do the same thing for someone else. Well, simply because the beauty of music lies in its power to connect with the unique rhythm of each individual heart. Regardless of how many bars a rapper can drop on a song, the truth never changes. Music is subjective. Now, this is a lesson that the Slimes had to learn the hard way when A-Reece's album Kill the King went #1 on the charts for what seemed like was just a number of days, with the Slimes' efforts failing to keep A-Reece on the #1 spot. 28 came out of nowhere and dethroned the Kill the King mixtape.
And so, on something very interesting, it does seem like A-Reece has been knocked off the Apple Music charts, and controversially, that is a very big topic at this moment, especially because Usimamane had set out earlier this year to replace Nasty C, Blxckie, and A-Reece, or rather to surpass them.
Wait, now that I think of it, it's kind of ironic how Usimamane dethroned a project called Kill the King. Damn, man really listened and went for the kill. Something A-Reece couldn't just let slide, as in November 5th of the same year, A-Reece will release a diss track titled Mad. Well, I guess Usimamane made the king mad, huh? In the song, A-Reece addresses his quote-unquote haters who claim that he had lost relevance, fighting back with the assertion that he's been making hit songs even during times whereby he felt like he didn't feel like himself. Jokers all in my comments claiming that I fell off. Really, I made more hits and half the time I was hardly sober. On the song, A-Reece also reveals that radio stations and record labels may overlook him simply because he refuses to engage in pay-for-play practices. Only cause I did not pay for the tracking spins and I did not sign. Now, such defiance has always been the hallmark of his career, something that has always positioned A-Reece as the voice of independent rappers, which is something that Usimamane doesn't know about, as Usimamane seemed like he never experienced the hardships of being an independent artist.
Usimamane is back, so when he drops, Spotify is gonna be there on the cover of the biggest hip hop playlist. He's gonna be plugged. He's gonna get the airplay. He's gonna get the interviews on Tibo Touch, etc.
Got you.
So that's why he's the now kid.
Well, if he did, the man only probably experienced it for like a year or so, as the man quickly signed to Gamma way earlier during his come up. This recognition not only validates my journey as an artist, but it also gives me the opportunity to share my music and the stories of my culture with a wider audience. It motivates me to continue pushing boundaries and exploring new sounds. Now, if you go on Google right now and Google what Gamma is, what will pop up is probably a definition that goes like, Gamma is a global multimedia company founded by the former Apple Music executive Larry Jackson. While the label is known for signing and working with major names such as Usher, Rick Ross, Snoop Dogg, and Sexy Red, just to name a few. Gamma is described as a company that provides artists with a combination of label services, creative support, and the distribution of music. Now, I have never heard of Gamma, but it sure as hell do support any artist, huh? I mean, even when you are new to the industry and not have yet shown yourself to be worth the investment, like, it really does start to sound like an industry plant factory. Now, although there is no hard evidence that Gamma is intentionally manufacturing industry plants, however, because they give massive backing and visibility to newer artists such as Usimamane, some fans have speculated that this kind of support feels like it skips the usual come-up process of an artist's career, which is just might have what's led to fans calling Usimamane an industry plant. However, with that being said, many artists in the modern era receive early industry support, and it's not suspicious, it's not a problem, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are not talented or haven't had worked hard to get to the positions they are in. Cause they did. You don't just become famous. Even if you're an industry plant, people have to connect with you, and people surely have connected with Usimamane's music. I always knew I would make it one day, but I did not expect it to happen so soon. Even though people try to drag me into beefs and stuff I do not want, I always try to show people that there is no beef or trouble I have with other people. But I honestly feel honored to be part of the current hip hop.